All right, looks like they're off.
Yep, we are off to the races. Chirality looks like using the maiden sprite on the left, whereas JC, I believe, I don't know what kind of Link sprite that is. Is that the manga one?
I don't actually remember specifically which one that is. I've always associated with like almost Twilight Princess-ish looks, but I don't know. I can look quickly.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit darker than, your normal Link sprite. But all right, we're dropping down to Uncle. Let's see what we get here. Oh, there's that Kina Samaria that you were looking for.
I hope I didn't curse the runners, because this is probably not going to be that fun.
All right, so before we get too far into the run, is there any other things you want to predict that we see happen in this run? This is your chance to say Master Sword, Ice Rod.
I'm thinking we're going to be a Go Mode Medallion this seed.
Oh, those are always really rough. All right.
That they are.
Okay, going into the race. So we did see that early Power Glove pickup. Kind of nice to see that early on because there's your one of the items required for that Dark World access. So definitely having that in the first 2 minutes of the run definitely helps a little bit for figuring out how they want to route the game later on.
Yeah, and the gloves are just handy to have in general. Again, unintentional pun, but they help you get around the world just in general. They're a commodity you expect to have, so in those rare instances where you don't have gloves for like 40 minutes to an hour, it really throws you off. Also, I did check. I did check it. That is the modern Link sprite that JC is using.
Okay, yeah, definitely the newer Links use that kind of darker color, it looks like. But yeah, you're totally right with the gloves too. And also another thing is they don't have to worry about maybe not getting bombs during this escape sequence and then having to come back later and finding maybe the Power Glove back there. So definitely kind of a nice thing they'll be able to avoid in this seed.
Yeah, it means that they will be able to immediately come back in the event they don't get any bombs. I imagine for the sake of convenience, they will try to find one anyways. But it's not as urgent as it would normally be.
Definitely true. Canis Maria is probably one of the easiest weapons to farm with besides the sword, of course. Once we get to the sewer, as you can use one block to take out like a ton of rats all at the same time. So we'll see if they opt to wait until they get to the sewer to begin really looking for, that 1 or 4 or even 8 bomb drop.
Yeah, I imagine it works well on rats, not as much on rope, though, the snakes.
Yeah, the rope are like, we'll take 1 hit and then we're just gonna run away. The rats, though, they just die in 1 hit, and there's in particular one area where they just like kind of all circle around. So we'll see if our runners decide to wait there. But JC did get an 8 bomb drop, so he won't have to worry about that.
Oh, good to know that 8 bombs is a potential drop the enemies can just have this seed. That's pretty important information. We don't know how common it'll be, but it means that bombs will probably be not much of a worry if it's a frequent drop.
Yeah, definitely not having to worry about bombs is, pretty nice in general, especially that early game where, using bombs for Kakariko, Mini Mole Dorm Cave, things like that.
Yeah, having bombs just cuts out a lot of the guesswork on early routing. Both runners are basically neck and neck coming out of the front portion and heading to the back. As a note, in standard mode, if you're not familiar with standard, during the escape visit, you will get a cone of light if you do not have the lamp, as if you had it. So it helps you here, but you won't have it for other dark rooms once you leave escape.
Right. Definitely a nice little touch. That way you're not having to take away one of the chests in the first part of escape to have, a lantern there just to ensure you can get through this. So yeah, we can see Chirality going to farm those ropes. Unfortunately, does not get anything out of them. So he'll probably be waiting till this next room with the rats to see if he can get that bomb drop from them.
Well, I think he's also stopping to conserve what little magic he has left because he, I think, only has one usage left. Thankfully, you can't soft lock. There was recent hot fixes to standard to make it so that with this random weapon start, if you do run out of ammo, you can save quit and you'll go back to a earlier checkpoint with a little bit of your ammo back. But yeah, I think that was one of his last uses.
There were a couple pots though that you can pick up the small magic refill on the way, but maybe just because he has a power glove, like I say, he's not really too concerned with losing too much time early on. But wow, whoa, what?
Okay, that just
so
happened.
Turtle Rock is a play in the seed. 6 minutes in, we know what's going to happen,
or we know it's a pendant.
But wow.
You don't tend to find the two rods right in the same place. Oh, and a lot of money in Sanctuary, too. That's a perfect start.
Yeah, 2 rods in the same place. And plus, starting with Kana Samaria, too. Like, wow. It's definitely the earliest Turtle Rock access. Well, almost Turtle Rock access that I've seen.
Yeah, we're still missing mitts and a hammer, but that's pretty quick. Just access to the dungeon itself, or at least knowing the inside could be fully cleared out. We got a map check here. Eastern is a 5/6 crystal. The other 2 are crystals.
So definitely, that's a little bit worrisome because, if Turtle Rock ends up being a play, there's definitely a bigger chance that it can be a pedestal or a pendant dungeon now, which is something you don't necessarily want to see. And is that a sword that we just saw?
I was trying to actually check that. I think it was. Yeah, that's a sword. So no butter sword this season unless Aga is required, in which case they will grab that sword immediately.
Which could be a thing because these V29 seeds do often have you go kill Aghanim pretty commonly, actually. So even though they may not need that sword right now, well, obviously they'll need a sword to kill Aghanim. They may need that master sword later on, which could be the only one there.
Oh, this is a bountiful magic seed. The bush crab dropping full magics and half magic in the blind hut. Not to mention that's half magic with both rods. You have a lot of firepower in your hands now.
Right. So both of our runners deciding to roll the Sorcerer class for Legend of Zelda Link to the Past. We'll see if they find that Kana Burna now for a little bit of defensive magic. Maybe that cape as well.
Yeah, either of those would be very convenient right now. That is a book, though. That is also important. We have our literacy. And the ability to go dig.
So pretty interesting items that we're seeing. We don't usually see, with the exception of Power Glove, of course, these kind of items, at least right off the bat.
Yeah.
Definitely nice items to see because they add up and they really let you go to a lot of places later on. But early on, though, I prefer to see a sword, hammer, things like that.
Yeah, still missing a couple ideas as to where to actually go next. Now, I do want to just address a question I saw in chat quickly, which was, can hammer be on ped? Yes, but only in very specific scenarios. Typically, it requires at least a couple pendants in Light World, because there's only a few dungeons in Dark World you can't access without the hammer. So, in this instance, I think it would have to be pendant, skull, thieves, and I believe even Mire would have to be a pendant as well.
Yeah, we're talking real specific set of rules for that to happen, and especially with all 3 Light World dungeons being crystals. I really don't think we'll see that today.
Yeah, it's highly unlikely this seed. Oh, another sword. Time to go do that race game.
Yeah, definitely nice to find that early sword. Not have to rely on solely magic to get you through some of these caves that require you to kill enemies, such as that mini Moldorm cave.
I mean, you have plenty of means to do it, but yes, the sword is typically the weapon of choice for pretty much any runner. Just because it's your standard default weapon, you're used to having it, and you're used to being able to just effectively fight enemies and bosses with it. And I want to say JC also didn't check the forest. I don't remember if he did.
That's correct. So
and
he
yeah,
did
he
go
is
directly to Kakariko.
And he is checking the shovel here too. You could technically save this for like a mirror check with Stumpy, but you never know when you're going to find the mirror.
Right. It's always kind of risky to put off those early locations, especially if you get the item to check it immediately. In this kind of case, obviously it didn't matter because it's just a piece of heart, but still. Looks like he's actually routing in an immediate desert play.
Well, okay. He might just be going to do the well from here, just because it's, or not the well, the dam, just because it's on the way. The save quit wouldn't save him too much time.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, you're correct.
Now, another thing to note too, remember, Chirality does actually still have to get those rods.
Yeah, we may see him maybe after picking up the race game, just do that save and quit to Sanctuary, just to kind of knock that out right away. Especially if you're thinking like boots or something, maybe.
I probably would.
Yeah, and plus it's a location that you're gonna check it anyways at some point, and you have to save and quit from it, so there's really no downside to skipping it.
The dam not given too much in the worth of items, a single rupee and a piece of heart.
Yeah, it looks like those items there are pretty washed up.
It appears Chirality is also going to be going and getting the shovel check done. Which is definitely smart, just because you don't want to forget fetch quest type items like these. If you forget you have them, you have a whole another nightmare to deal with.
All right, and there's that Sanctuary, or back of escape check that we figured he would go ahead and do.
Yeah, that's exactly where he's going. Which is good. Yep. He might need these.
Yeah, and you can see too, like kind of just the impact of getting those bombs and escape is just look at, despite JC only really skipping the Lost Woods, he has a pretty good lead over Chirality in these early game checks, just by not having to backtrack to the back of escape.
Well, I want to say JC also did not check Lumberjack Cave or even a tree pull, so in that regard, he also got a little bit of time saved there.
True.
He will probably route them in eventually. They are very early, very commonly checked locations. Now, I don't actually think I'm expecting to see any of these runners fake Flipper. Just because we don't have the Moon Pearl, you can't check Waterfall Cave and get a nice little route done. You would basically be checking Hobo and Zora, and you don't have money for Zora yet.
Yeah, that's very true. Despite the value of, there being items there early on, just spending that much time to only pretty much get Zora and then Hobo, if you could do that fake flipper as well, not really worth it when you still have like Sahasrara, as well as Death Mountain available if you're able to do that dark room, which is actually looks like what JC is going to go ahead and do right now.
Yeah, JC looks like he's going to opt to skip out on the lamp logic here and probably go take care of Death Mountain. Eastern Palace does have 6 items, so that would be the other logical play right here. And the one problem with doing Death Mountain now is you're probably not going to be able to get much, but you will get the save quit point from the old man if you do this early.
Very true. Also, you're kind of banking on there not being a flute that's supposed to be giving you access to Dark Death Mountain, or Death Mountain in general. because otherwise it just makes this whole like segment of having to run up and go through that dark room kind of pointless if you didn't need to do it in the first place, according to the logic at least.
Yeah, that can lead to another just mess of problems. Just especially if you don't find the lamp on the mountain, then it's like, well, then which item was required to get up here?
So JC looks like going into Lost Woods now. Maybe he was thinking like, I got the power glove. I know I'm probably going to be routing in, that dark room at some point. So let me go ahead and skip, Lost Woods for the time being, and then come back and do it once I'm going up the Death Mountain. Kind of a unconventional way to route, but I can kind of see where his line of, his thought process is coming from.
I guess he didn't actually plan on going up the mountain. I guess he just realized he didn't check those and wanted to take care of them.
True. So we'll have both of them kind of in similar spots. Chirality kind of save and quit right here, and then also probably go over to maybe either desert or eastern.
Yeah, desert is technically open. We may not be able to clear it. We may need boots, but desert is open for checking. And I think both runners are going over there, actually.
Right. I mean,
interesting.
There is always that concern that it could be, boots. But, given the early book, the early glove, and maybe, plus you get to get Agna's cave out of the way as well. So, which is a huge benefit. Maybe that is, the more desirable play than heading over to Sashla.
Yeah, technically speaking, you could get up to 4 items over here when you combine the Gina, the ledge, and the 2 that are within desert itself. And you might be able to clear the dungeon as well. At the same time, the more dense item play is eastern, and it's typically the dungeon you see people double dip if they have to. Agina, though, just has a shield.
Right. Which isn't all that bad, We're not necessarily immediately looking for an item to clear desert, unless it ends up being boots log. But definitely finding some sort of progression here would be nice. So that way you're getting that progression item, plus a crystal. And there we have some flippers on the ledge.
Well, those might be needed for the logic itself, so it's a good thing they came over here.
So there we go, opening up an additional 4 items, Hobo, Zora's Ledge, and the Waterfall Fairy too. So might see that early Zora check if we get a little bit more rupees.
Yeah. And I'm not sure of where these runners stand when it comes to a normal shield. I know some runners swear against getting shields, period, because they cause lag. Ooh, big key means we're not locked out of the back. But what's on the torch? Compass, you can clear this dungeon.
So probably have that small key in the big chest right here. Whether or not they go back to... Oh yeah, I would imagine they go to check the right side just because there's guaranteed to be 1 item there for certain.
At this point, there is 1 item guaranteed, at least.
It's just too bad you don't have like the boots or the mirror just kind of get through this a little bit faster. We're just going to slowly walk through all this sand, get this 1 progression, or hopefully it's a progression item.
Yeah, this is unfortunately a little bit of an inconvenient dungeon to route without a couple of the mobility tools.
All right, there's our first item, a piece of heart. We'll see if this next item is going to be a dungeon item or... Yep, we're waiting on Land Molas.
Yep, Land Molas has the other one. But they'll go get those flippers on the way and just kill the Land Molas now with their half-magic fire rod.
Yeah. I'd be a little bit worried about going into this fight with just Fire Sword, not because the fight is hard or anything, but just the amount of time it would take to kill Land Molas, but definitely half-magic any rod, to be honest. That's a pretty quick kill.
Yeah, Ice Rod and Fire Rod both murder the Land Molas at the same rate. They take 2 hits, I think, from both to die. But I believe the Ice Rod is slightly more magic inefficient. And it's also a little harder to hit with the Ice Rod because of its slower projectile shots.
Yeah, if you know how to do the fire rod shots, you should not be running out of magic for this fight. But yeah, look at this sink. Perfect. Oh, JC just barely getting stuck on the sink is dead.
Yeah, it got a little caught on the stairs there. Around the corner. Still right one behind the other.
Definitely. For how many options they had early on, Death Mountain, Fake Flipper, as well as Sahashala and Eastern. It's kind of cool to see them making the same exact play.
Now, finding flippers here makes you wonder whether or not the sea wants you to do flipper stuff right away.
Yeah, it's always a hard call, You could go flippers and just get a bunch of trash from Zora, and then end up finding out like, oh, I needed it for, Swamp Palace much later on down in the logic. I would say we'll probably see them check just because they haven't found like a hammer or moon pearl just yet. But we'll see after this fight.
Yeah, it depends also on what Lambo drops here. If they can get the money for Zora, the temptation to do the flipper path is a lot more tempting. But there's always a chance they'll be that 100 rupees short they still are currently. Oh!
Yeah, Chirality
nice.
getting a 2 cycle there. JC, unfortunately, getting a 3 cycle with being rewarded with the Titan's mitts too.
Yeah, both runners with Titan's mitts means that they're still missing a Moon Pearl for Dark World access, but that is pretty good access to most of the overworld at this point.
So yeah, definitely, we're not going to see Death Mountain just yet. It's either going to be that Eastern or Zora play because they want to find that Moon Pearl first to be able to get to the Dark World.
It looks like Chirality values the flippers in Zora first.
Yeah, jumping down there, able to see what's on the Lake Hylia item, or sorry, island even. Definitely kind of good knowledge there. But yeah, both runners are going to take the same exact route. Going to go to Hobo and then make their way up to Zora, hopefully finding a little bit of rupees before then.
I saw a question in chat. Can the Moon Pearl spawn in the Dark World? Only on the Pyramid, which would require you to beat Agadim to get it. Currently, if we're going to talk doing Agadim, the runners need the lamp and either a sword or a cape. So it's going to be a while before the runners even consider that possibility.
What about Super Bunny Cave? Is that also within the logic? Or is that a minor glitch?
That is, I think, considered a minor glitch, so the logic does not take that location into account.
Okay, I never really knew about that, so it's kind of good.
Yes, it can be in Checkerboard Cave, but you can get to Checkerboard Cave with a mirror, so it's technically not... You need to go through Dark World to get to it, but it's not in the Dark World.
Alright, now we're getting those few checks from Chirality. See if those flippers are going to pay off, or maybe we'll see them come into play later on. Nothing, unfortunately, in the waterfall. So it's going to be all up to this ledge here. If it has some rupees, or we're just not going to find out.
It'll be fine. It has a bauble of fairy, and you may grab that anyways. Because it's Sick Kid. We haven't found the bauble yet. And it looks like Chirality is opting to go grab it. Though, I wonder if he forgot he doesn't have the... Okay, he does realize. I was wondering why he took the topmost route when he could have very easily just held to the bottom.
Yeah, just that Sick Kid having one item. You never really know if the bottle there is supposed to be kind of a breadcrumb to say, hey, there's something on Sick Kid, or if they're just trying to throw a bottle at you. But we're not going to see that just yet, as Chirality will be heading over to the eastern side of Hyrule, getting those 3 items at Sahasrahla, as well as what we have access to in the Eastern Palace.
Yep, Eastern Palace, the next play here for Chirality. And JC is obviously going to be falling behind because we're running out of places to go.
Yeah, it's kind of easy to route in where to go when you only have 1 or 2 locations left. And there's our Zora money just hanging out, taking Sahasrahla's life savings to probably get scammed by the King Zora. And that's the location that's still technically available for them.
Yeah, that is in logic completely. So those runners will have to think about having to go check his item prior to anything else really happening. But when it comes to checks, that's basically what we have left is Eastern and there.
We got that green pendant check. Green pendant is at Palace of Darkness. Definitely not a dungeon I enjoy at all to see as a pendant dungeon.
Yeah, just because Pod's got 5 items in, it's typically got progression because you really only need the bow and the lamp to check the entire dungeon. You only need the hammer specifically to kill the boss and get to it.
Also, too, we really haven't seen any items to kind of give that Dark World access early. Generally, Pod likes the hold value when you're given like, the hammer, power gloves, and moon pearl immediately. But we're not seeing anything like that, so I have to wonder, is a Pod play going to be viable in the future, or is it just going to be a big old bunch of trash?
Well, I mean, we've only got 5 locations we can check right now. Well, 5 items left we can find. Now 4 since Chirality just found that. It's this dungeon, Sick Kid, and Zora. I'm fairly certain that's all we've got.
That is true. And technically, we don't have Aghanim access just yet, too. We still need a Master Sword or the Cape, and we need a lamp as well.
So yeah, the actual directive of this seed is very up in the air just because of what we still have left to check and where this item is. This mystery progression item.
All right, so it's going to be hopefully whatever is in this big chest right here gives us a moon pearl. I would think a moon pearl or a lamp to get you up to Death Mountain.
Yeah.
Or just 5 arrows, so you can shoot some more arrows. So,
well, while Chirality's here, and most runners will do this, he's going to go do the dark room in Eastern. It's not a very hard dark room, and it gets you this last chest. Technically speaking, the item over here is out of sequence, which means it will not be the item he's looking for. But there could still be something useful here, and he might as well take the time to check.
Yeah, especially if it's like, maybe Sick Kid has the lamp and then suddenly opens up this room for you in the logic. Definitely being able to do this without the lamp is a huge benefit to any runner. Definitely cuts down the number of double dips you have to do for a lot of these dungeons.
Yeah, Sick Kid could also have the item. Could also just have Moon Pearl straight, and that gets us Dark World. Not a useful item. 20. But he knows that Armos doesn't have anything, and that he can save the Armos Knights for later when he has the means to get that 5/6 crystal.
Yeah, especially if you want to wait on boots or just something to kind of make overworld travel a little bit shorter. It works out.
All right, looks like Chirality is opting to say that Zora has progression.
I have to think too, maybe if Zora does have that progression item, I'm going to be feeling a little bit behind because, I'm going to be thinking, okay, my opponent probably had the 500 rupees when I went up to Zora, doesn't have to double dip and come back here. So I wonder if that will maybe affect their routing, see a little bit more gambles being taken once we get over to the Dark World.
Yeah, it's interesting how this could have panned out. If either runner had opted to do Eastern before Desert, they would have had the money for Zora, which would have made for a one-trip flippers, but neither runner did that.
Oh man, if this is the flute, then that has to say that, you were supposed to go up the Death Mountain and get the one item available to you.
Oh,
Nope,
there's
it's
Moon
our
Pearl.
Moon Pearl.
All right, that opens up a lot. And JC decided Sick Kid had it. We know it's not what we need, but there still could be a different type of progression in here.
Yeah, I'd be panicking a little bit if I found the Moon Pearl there after being there twice. But yeah, JC gonna head over to Sick Kid. Hopefully we get something there too.
Yeah, so ripoff, not quite a ripoff today. It was very much an important item.
Joshua would be proud to know that his rupee stash went to good use. And looks like we're gonna steal some of the Sick Kid's money too to fund the Zora.
Yep. Whereas JC now knows he made the wrong coin flip and needs to go to the other location. Whereas Chirality is going to do what little he can do, which, with his current items, is going to be Skullwoods and Thieves Town for the most part. Because without a couple other items, there's still not a ton we can do in the Dark World. There is an overworld. No map check yet. I'm a little surprised.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you got the fire rod to know that you can clear out Skull Woods immediately. I'd at least want to see for sure if it's going to be a pendant dungeon or if it is required or not.
I guess Chirality's thought process here, in particular with Skull, is he's coming in here anyway. He has the means to clear the dungeon. He can use the music as his cue if he has it on. And he found a key, so that's going to make routing this front portion of Skull a little easier. But I don't think he's found anything of note yet.
That Kina Samario too is pretty nice for being able to not have to do that one statue room.
Yeah, it means he can just place a block and subvert having to push the statue onto it. Very handy, and it makes what is normally a very tedious room quite the quick trip.
Sure.
Oh, that's not what he was hoping to see there, I would think.
At least he can check that on the way out, so he doesn't have to backtrack for it immediately. But
yeah, but
head over.
He's hoping it just has a key.
Well, so he'll have to go kill that Gibdo in the second, or I guess third to last room. But he may opt to just use that half magic fire rod to quickly kill him, especially without the boots to set up that spike kill.
Yeah, we should note this is a fire sword green male Bothula with a half magic fire rod, so you're more than likely going to see the half magic fire rod. All right, there's our map check. Turtle Rock is a pendant. Who is surprised? Along with Thieves Town, the other 5/6 crystal is ice.
What a kind of gross set of dungeons. So we do have some items in Ice Palace technically available now. You can't finish it without the hammer. But yeah, the pendant, Thieves Town, pendant, T-Rock after having all that access.
Yeah, those are gross pendant dungeons. Those are dungeons you just want for their items. So you're going to probably go into them anyways. Why do they have to be pendants?
Reality. I'm having a little bit of trouble with this Gibdo kill. Unfortunately, when you don't have the boots, you can't really set up that spike kill pretty easily. Plus, he wants to save that magic too, so he has enough shots. Enough of those 8 shots to kill him off of that.
JC down to 1 heart here. Probably going to take a death in a minute to refill his health.
Yep, there it is. Oh, but he does have the fairy too. He probably forgot about that.
Frankly, I forgot that was what was in that bottle too. It's always when you try a death warp that a fairy comes. Oh, hi, Cape. We
What a
don't
convenient place to find
actually.
that.
Yeah, we don't actually need Aghanim this seed because we can get to the right side with the flippers. So don't have to worry about that. That's just for invincibility. But I think the seed also wanted to give it to them because there's a sword there. And I guess if the runners don't find another sword, they may have to do Aghanim for their second sword.
Right. There's always a little bit of worry if the Master Sword is needed or not, especially if it's, both the other sword upgrades are in Ganon's tower and one of the tablets happens to have, something we need for progression. So could be something we see much later on. A little too early to tell, but just keep that in mind, chat.
Well, one thing that does have to leave the runners feeling at least a little bit good is the fact they have two crystals. Is that at least for Chirality here, he has two crystals only about 30 minutes in.
Right. It's going to be a while though before we see another crystal. We have plenty of this whole like mid game. The dungeons you would usually go into, they're all pendant dungeons. So, there we go. He gets his map check. Not going to be very happy about seeing that red pendant on T-Rock. Same with the pendant Thieves Town. So I imagine I'll probably just dive in Thieves Town no matter what. It's kind of one of those plays that you just always do, regardless of it being a crystal.
Doing these before the outside.
That is true, though. I mean, I would want to see at least if there's a hammer. Just maybe one of these 3 locations first, but maybe he's just grabbing those first 4 chests and gonna leave afterwards.
Perhaps. And actually, did the runners get both items? Because I don't know if Chirality checked the big chest on his way out.
I don't think so. I wasn't exactly watching. I think he had just left after with that cape, but we didn't see that big chest, I believe. Oh, it was a rupee? Okay. Good job, chat.
Okay.
Keeping us honest.
Thank you.
there's the little blind sprite.
Yep, that is the bunny, because the maiden itself is supposed to be the blind maiden that's in this dungeon.
Right.
I also completely missed the first 4 items in this dungeon. I saw the key and that was it.
We got a hook shot.
Oh, that's pretty nice, yeah. That is still not Death Mountain access.
Right. Although I would probably think they're going to head up and do that dark room still, just because there's so many items up there and you don't want to just be waiting for a flute or that lamp to show up to technically make it available.
Yeah, now there's a lot more incentive given you have the ability to also clear out the Dark Mountain.
And you see, just about to get to Mothla, having a little bit of trouble early on, which it's not surprising. I mean, you're going into this, technically it was like the 3rd dungeon in the vanilla speed run with just green tunic and a little bit of health. But does get back there, hopefully with enough magic to clear out Mothula.
Ooh, Chirality, don't take another hit from those little lizard rat creatures, because if you do, you're dead. And your fairy will be gone as well. Right.
Imps, grasshoppers, whatever you like to call them, they hurt quite a lot. And he's got to be careful. One hit away from... He doesn't have...
I think he's out of Fire Rod.
Right, so he's going to have to probably get a couple...
Oh, no, that was his last shot.
More. He's so close. He's playing it so safe, dodging the spikes left and right. Oh! Mothula decides to just make a beeline for him straight across the room. It's like, I'm taking you out.
Mothula, you're a moth, not a bee. You're not supposed to do beelines.
So the
But yeah, that
unfortunate
is
part of
very
that is
unfortunate. It
lack
looks
of
like JC is
magic.
gonna go farm some magic quickly. A little frustrated.
There is the what's it called? The full magic refill at the room with the switch, but it is quite a trek to go back there. But
Yeah.
it may be something you want to look into, considering you don't really have a good means to damage Mothula otherwise.
Yeah, there's also the option of just doing this loop a couple times. There's 2 magic pots in that room and 2 in this room. He can just do this loop a couple times until he has enough magic. But this is going to slow down JC a lot, given A, he doesn't have that fairy that would have helped him try and get through that fight in the first place, and B, he needs to farm a lot of magic, which is just going to cost him a lot of time. There is a full magic refill a couple of rooms back that it looks like he's going to go for now. Chirality, meanwhile, I'm blind.
I believe we
Didn't
still
quite
have
get a
that item.
textbook blind because blind moved to the bottom of the room, but looks like he's about done. Yeah.
A lot easier fight than Mothula for certain. Looks like I think we have another item in the big chest, which we don't have access to until we find the hammer. So it's kind of not a good thing you want to see.
No, that location is going to loom. Okay, so since we have checked off a pendant dungeon, we may want to consider quickly what could be on pedestal and whether or not those pendant dungeons will actually be required. I think there's like 2 major items that could be there: the flute or the Meyer medallion. I think are the main 2. Mirror technically could also be there.
That is true. Mirror is probably the big one. JC also leaving behind Mothula for the time being, and I don't blame him for that at all.
I don't either. He'll make some time later to take him out. It's very hard to beat Moth with this early a toolkit, let alone only 8 heart containers. So it makes for a bit of a difficult experience.
Plus, if we do find the flute, we do have really quick access to the Dark World from Kakariko. So it's not really going to hurt too badly if that does show up pretty soon.
Doesn't look like the actual outside of the dungeon area before the dungeon had any items of worth. So I expect Chirality here to go over to Race Game, and then he will probably grab the Frogsmith.
Yeah, you want to make sure not to grab that the blacksmith before heading over to the race game. He definitely does, or sorry, the dig game. The proprietor though doesn't really like people with Link, unfortunately. So you do have to backtrack a little bit if you do want to make that play to return him back to his brother, I guess.
Yeah.
Or a very similarly looking friend.
He also prosecutes against chests, so don't bring that over there either.
Oh, he gets very upset about the chest. But yeah, he is going to go back and grab the blacksmith, and then continue on his Dark World tour, through the south side all the way over to Hype Cave. Hopefully, finding that hammer, so that way he can get some more convenient access to that side of the Dark World.
So the hookshot was the only item we found in Thieves Town that was actually important, right?
That is correct. We still believe have that one item in the big chest, so we don't know for sure if there is something there. But I think JC may be opting to just death warp out of there.
Yeah, I think he's gonna do first 4 and leave. Just get that hookshot and go.
Not a bad play. I mean, it's a pendant dungeon. Obviously, he doesn't know for sure if there's anything in the back, like we do. But like I said, if you get that early access to Dark World and you have the Titandsmiths to quickly get back to Village of Outcasts, you may want to just wait till later until you're forced to go back in.
Oh, it's also a pendant, so there's a good chance there's nothing else back there, and that's what he's thinking. We know for the most part that's true. A lot of health in that Hype Cave.
Yeah, Hype Cave. Some hype, I guess. It's definitely nice to see those hearts early on. Get a little bit more of a safety cushion.
I think
Chirality gonna take
Chirality's
that.
forgotten something.
He's gonna use the flippers to get over to pod as opposed to just
Oh, yeah, there is a path
this
over
off.
here to get there.
Right. So there is that bridge that's over by the hobo location, kind of, as well as this one too. Kind of obscure routing, I guess, but it is there. So the logic does exist to get over to pod right now. I'm actually surprised. No, it looks like he's actually going to check the pyramid real fast.
Yeah, I think he's doing Pyramid and Catfish because he knows he can't bring the Smith into a dungeon.
Yeah, and I know that he's probably experienced enough into that too. So definitely knocking out that Catfish is pretty big, especially because you already have the Zora area finished. So there's not really a reason to go up there most of the time. So maybe in a tournament race, you want to be a little bit safer and just make sure there's nothing there that's going to bottleneck your seed.
I just realized JC skipped on the frog.
That is true. He may be waiting for the mirror, which, wait just to make it a little bit easier to cut down on travel. But I don't know if the mirror ends up being on the
may come back to bite.
Yeah. It's always a risk when it comes to tournament matches. You don't want to play like you would normally do in like a big weekly race or anything like that, because, in order to like win those kind of races, you have to take a ton of gambles. Not something you want to do in a tournament race because like single gamble can put you very far behind if it's not executed correctly.
Well, I think the main dilemma with JC here is, well, first off, I don't think he knows where else he can go. Second, he probably feels like he's really behind after what happened with Moth a few minutes ago.
Oh, that is true. That can mess with your thinking a lot.
Oh,
there's a lamp. Well, so not really a great find. That just says, hey, you can go up to Death Mountain now, which would have probably been their next play regardless. So
yeah, we can check everything on the mountain with the exception of Hera. We actually can't get over there yet without a mirror or a hammer.
That is true. We do have plenty of items in that area to maybe get that hammer or
plenty. You have everything on the right side of the light Death Mountain. You have the Dark Death Mountain items. You can see what Turtle Rock's medallion is in the event you do have to dip it. And you also have... No, you don't have access to Spike Cave, no hammer.
True.
And if you could access Ether Tablet, you are still short a sword to get the item on it. So... not going to help in that regard either. Well, Chirality actually lost 5 rupees on that because you actually pay 10 to the smith to get their item.
Kind of a bad investment, but at least you know there's no progression there.
Yeah.
JC buying some bombs. Hopefully he makes his way up to Death Mountain, so that way he can find out what's going on up there. So technically, if he does go straight up to like Death Mountain, which never mind, he's not going to do that. He's going to go back into the Dark World, it appears.
Yeah, he might be considering either doing the Smiths, because I actually don't remember. I think he may have walked back to grab him, but he also knows he can probably access Pod from the north side. May not know about that south path. He could also though be going back into things.
I would hate for them to have to, go this very long route all the way back to the Palace of Darkness. And that's where it is. He just forgot he didn't have the bombs for that little. Oh.
Ooh, jeez.
That's a bow.
If someone's sequence broke up the mountain earlier, they'd be able to have actually cleared Eastern on their first trip. That's a kind of interesting thought.
Yeah. I don't think that's a play a lot of people would make, though. You don't have the hook shot to get to the other side, but definitely if you make that kind of gamble, it's really nice to get that just out of the way.
Yeah, you typically want means to get multiple items within Death Mountain before you go up there. Speaking of items, I believe that was the red boomerang in that cave, in the Spectacle Rock Cave. Not going to bother grabbing it.
Yeah, you already got the blue boomerang, which we all know is the superior boomerang. Anyone who wants to disagree with that can meet me after the stream, but definitely not going to go out of your way to go pick that up if you already have something similar to it.
All right, looks like JC is going to the right side through the flipper path up north.
Ooh,
but he needs to be really careful now.
Cyclops is just like, hey, let's throw these bombs at you and take some free damage.
I believe those are Hinox, and they are not kind with those bombs.
So he'll find his lamp, and maybe that will point him also up to Death Mountain.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. Chirality, meanwhile, is in Paradox Cave. The first couple items weren't much. Gonna go check the next 5 up here. There's Master Sword.
There's our sword. So Aghanim is pretty much dead at this point. Well,
yeah, you no longer have to go up there.
Moon Pearl was on Zora, so kind of a very corner location.
Oh, looks like JC's going to keep going. Ooh, this is a bit of a risk. I think he wants to at least check the pyramid. I don't know if his intention is pod. But this is a really scary trip since you literally are going to die if a single thing grazes you.
Yeah, JC definitely living life on the edge.
Oh, there it goes.
Also, on the other end, we saw the boots on the floating island in Death Mountain. So,
oh, that really sucks.
For that. And we don't know if it's even required at this point, too. But I would think by the time we at least get up to Death Mountain for maybe Ganon's Tower, we do have a mirror to pick those up to kind of cut down on travel.
Yeah, we do need the mirror. It is required for this seed. So we will be getting that. It's just a matter of how late.
You know what I would be interested in? Is if we found, a mirror here as well as a medallion. And the medallion is what opens up T-Rock. Do we see a dive in this early if we get
We do
items?
Unfortunately still lack one piece for that.
The hammer.
The hammer is necessary to at least enter T-Rock to get the portal open. So that is unfortunately not the case unless we find the hammer here as well.
Well, we got 20 rupees and they're 20, so unfortunately we're not going to be able to use those to get those pegs down, but we do have quite a lot of items coming up in the Hookshot Cave. Generally likes to hold usually like one progression item or so we'll see if that pays off for them.
First, though, we're going to see a check of the T-Rock medallion. And it looks like ether. Again, we might not need to go in there, but Pendant T-Rock likes to hold your items. T-Rock in general likes to hold your items. Oh, there's Fire Shield.
All right, we got a shield, we got a mirror as well. We got a flute.
Ooh.
Oh, come on. Keep it up. Keep it up. 20 rupees. Well,
that's still really good.
Back, boys.
That actually gives you access to A, those boots. Which Chirality is immediately going to jump on. And B, you can actually get over to Hera now.
Yeah, what a perfect location to get that mirror. Just immediately pick up those boots. Regardless of them not really being needed at this point, just they're gonna make the seed go a lot quicker. Especially if we're gonna have to go all the way back to Pod in order to get the hammer.
True. We also do still have a chance of GT Big Key on Torch, so those boots may not be useless. And Bonk
Definitely
Rocks and King's Tomb could have items too. Chirality, unfortunately, not quite in the right spot with his mirror here. He needs to go a little further onto the bridge.
He is a little bit scared of the Lionel. Oh, he does take a hit. But fortunately, he does have that fairy, so he will be saved.
Was probably hoping to save that, but he's fine. And even if he didn't have that fairy, he can literally just come from this direction instead. I gotta check Ether first.
Right, definitely a good time to just get that mirror, because instead of having to backtrack and check these locations, you can just get it out of the way immediately.
Yeah, but remember, we also got that Master Sword on the mountains. They wouldn't have been able to get this without that too. Convenience.
All right, so let's see what we have in Hera. I actually don't expect us to find anything in Hera. I think it's just gonna be just a crystal and a couple things, a couple trash, or just upgrades as people call them too. And I'm pretty sure we'll see probably have to go all the way back to Pod for something else like that hammer.
Now, this is not a route for the dungeon I've typically seen. Chirality decided to skip out on the chest on the main floor.
That is true. Maybe he's thinking like, I know I have to kill the Moldorm. So if I find the two items up here, but despite it just being a few seconds to check that chest, it's still a few seconds that I don't have to spend otherwise.
Yeah, he's kind of just expecting the small key to be the item down there or a dungeon. Well, it looks like it is going to pay out in his favor. That was both items right there.
So kind of cool little rowdy. I mean, despite this being a race, it's still a speed run. So you want to find the small things to just shave off a few seconds here and there, and that's definitely one of them. But falling back into that pit from that tricky little bumper, it's gonna pretty much negate all that time he would have saved.
You can there are like specific pixels where you can like pass through this particular bumper. I think you can do this with a lot of the bumpers actually in the Pegasus boots, but it's a little tricky to set up, especially if you haven't practiced it.
True. But this time, after missing it twice, he's just gonna go walk around, trying to avoid that again.
He did not put up the switch for the pots before Moldorm though, so no health refills, just his Master Sword.
Which is
this fight would normally be if you use the Master Sword, you can do 3 spins and kill Moldorm, but it looks like Chirality is content with, well, never mind, he just got knocked off. But he was content with just poking Moldorm, which would be, I think, 6 hits, and that would cause him to go into his fast rage phase on the 5th hit. Most of the time, you want to try and avoid getting Moldorm into that phase if you can.
Yeah, he's just not really getting a lot of luck with his Moldorm. He's not giving him that room to get on his right side and just set up those spins. He's just like, I'm going to go ahead and hug this edge. At least for the first attempt. This attempt, he gets it perfect. Those 3-slot spins you're talking about.
Yeah, Trolldorm much more cooperative the second time around. JC getting his hookshot cave items, and he's going to go get those boots now. And Chirality's done on the mountains, so he's got to find a new location to check.
Right. It's too bad we don't have the hammer just to knock out the spike cave. But still, we got the boots. I think we're going to probably see, maybe that pod play. There is one chest in Swamp Palace that is available without the hammer, which is kind of a hard gamble. But I think they have plenty of locations to check before they make a decision like that.
Side note, that is like the worst place in the game to find hammer.
True. But hey, it's Randomizer. If it's, by logic can be there, then they will put it there. And JC gonna skip doing Hera, it looks like.
Well, there's some logic in favor of this. Because you don't have to necessarily do T-Rock, if you can go mode Hera, you do it right before GT and are right outside when you finish.
Looks like he's actually probably trying to get the health refill. and just coming back from the checkpoint. Definitely a safe play to make with those Lionels as well, just ready to just tear into you as you try to cross the bridge.
Okay, so Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb did not have anything.
So Boots not really being needed. We already know that there's the compass on the desert torch, so it could have just been there just for the sake of randomizer, just having it placed there. But generally items like to be lead to something, so the only other thing really is Ganon's Tower, Bob's torch, I think. And there's nothing in the library, I believe. I think it was just some trash.
I think it was a piece of heart. And it looks like Chirality, I think, is thinking Meyer. Yep, gonna go check it immediately. Because you need to know what medallion you need. It's one of 2 items you're missing to go through the remainder of the seed. It is not shown. Hopefully he remembers to check. There's the hammer. They'll be very happy to be in possession of that now. So now it's Quake on Meyer. So the Quake medallion is the last item Chirality needs to finish this seed. And he's got plenty of dungeons left he can clear. Unfortunately, it can also be on the pedestal. So until he finds Ether, that's not really a consideration. So for now, I expect to just see Chirality go and clean out dungeons, and I guess buy a potion quickly. And yes, the medallion requirements for T-Rock and Meyer are reversed for the vanilla requirements.
Well, shoutouts to Commentator's Curse. Medallion Go Mode item.
I did predict that, didn't I?
So if either you, JC, or Chirality watched this afterwards, it was Buckshot Boo who made that prediction, not me. Don't come after me.
Well, on the plus side, they have time to find it before it's down to pet. So, yes, it's an annoying item to be go mode, but you can still avoid having the worst case scenario.
So the downside is, yeah, we're unfortunately not able to go mode a lot of these dungeons. Definitely doing Ice Palace first, I think, is a little bit better than going straight into Swamp. I think Ice Palace go mode's a little bit faster, instead of having to go like left side. So I can see why Charlie would go here first too.
Yeah, we'll see Ice and Swamp almost certainly first. And if nothing is found, Chirality might opt to take a look at a couple other overworld locations that are still on the table. And from there, if he finds nothing, he can make a trip over to Pod, maybe after clearing out Eastern. Because he knows Eastern does not have any more items.
Yeah, there's no reason to waste any time going over there. Until at least the very end, so...
Well, the 5-6 Crystal Temptation is the only thing, really.
True. We do have to clear that, and that may be another reason why, he decided to go to Ice Palace first. And actually, I like that. Chirality doing that left side bomb, featured in the theory test for No Major Glitches, if you watch that. It's kind of cool to see someone incorporate that into their randomizer play as well.
Yeah, usually I've seen the bomb positioned a bit lower for that particular trick. And it looks like because Chirality has the Smaria cane, he does not have to really worry about the bomb jump for this dungeon because he expects to full clear it.
Right. You never want to be in a situation where you don't have the cane and you decide to full clear it with a key being on Cold Stare that you need to get to him. But with that cane, you don't have to worry about that. You can just go right through and not have to worry about that. Pretty easy bomb jump, I assume, for both our runners.
Yeah, chat also bringing up that Thieves Town Big Chest is still up in the air too, so that could also have our medallion.
JC getting his flute activated. We're going to hear that theme that everyone loves to hear. So get those swag ducks in chat. We'll be grading you later on, depending on how many you decide to post. Oh no, we don't have swag ducks for this channel. Well, if you typed out swag duck, we know you're committed to the cause. So shout outs to you guys.
I see a lot of salutes as well. Ice Tea Room has the compass, so still searching for a lot of the items.
All right, JC gonna head back over to Skull Woods. Definitely has a lot more to work with now than just that fire rod. So I'm sure he just wants to get that crystal and not have to think about this dungeon, at least until the next race.
All right, so it looks like JC is going to go back and take care of what he was unable to earlier and finish off Mothula. Got a little bit more. He's got his full tank of magic, so that will help. He's got a better sword, that will help. He's got more hearts. Should stand a better chance this time. Oh, that's 2 items in this dungeon.
Yeah, we definitely, with the mirror showing up, we have a whole lot of stuff to check in the overworld. Pretty much just about everything with the exception of Turtle Rock and Myers. So the odds of Quake being here in Ice Palace, pretty low. But definitely you don't want to take that risk that it doesn't end up being here.
Yeah, we got like the Thieves Town Big Chest, as was mentioned before. There's Haunted Grove. There's Graveyard Cliff. We know it's not on top of Spectacle, so that's off the table. Then there's T-Rock and Pod, which are dungeons we can go into. There's Swamp. And there's Ped. And Spike Cave. I don't think I said Spike Cave yet. There's a real mess of things, too. Even Hammer Peg's still on the table. Oh, dear.
Right. But he does have that red potion, thankfully, to make sure he does not take another death to a Mothula. So he should be okay. I think he will be. But I don't know, maybe Mothula is like, I'm going to try to tackle him again.
Yeah, that was a little weird last time. He made a straight dash for him.
Well, hey, it is randomizer. We got randomized items. We got randomized movesets. I fully expect at this point, Cold Stare to start throwing out some fire bats to really just make this mode live up to its name.
Then I expect to hear a teleport noise. Chirality just gonna magic kill these Cold Stares.
Yeah, hammer strats are definitely viable for this, but a little bit risky given the small hitbox. Oh, we're going to get a pedestal check. It's going to be a big old bunch of rupees.
Hell yeah.
So,
but that does mean that Ped is dead, so they don't have to worry about that worst case scenario, but it could still be in a pendant dungeon. As much of a bummer as it can be to see Rupee Horde on the pedestal, the flavor text for that particular item happens to be one of my personal favorites.
For which one? Sorry?
The Rupee Horde.
Oh, yeah.
I just love that it says, hell yeah.
I know one of my first seeds that I ever did for Randomizer was a hook shot. And I had no idea what boing, boing, boing meant because I'd never played Rando before. So it took a little while to figure out, oh, this is something I probably need to do.
Yeah, that's actually alluding back to the vanilla game in the sense that the hook shot when you picked it up in the big chest, the word boing was in its text box for explaining it.
Oh, wow. It's been so long since I played the English version of this that I didn't even remember that. All right, JC gonna go ahead and be able to put that hammer to good use, not having to do that huge overworld tour for the blacksmiths. Maybe probably gonna see that purple chest turn in as well, and then hopefully, you know, he heads over to Meyer's shed and get that hammer so he can get on his way.
And Chirality here, meanwhile, is going to go right in the swamp. And did JC actually do the hammer pegs? I didn't actually see him do it.
Not yet. So he doesn't actually have hammer yet. So he does need to go over
right.
to Meyer first.
That's where I'm thinking faulty.
He's probably thinking, you know, like I say, I can turn in this purple chest, and I could do the south of the grove as well as the Bombos tablet real quick. So kind of just getting these locations kind of far away from each other, just knocked out in a similar fashion.
Yeah, and these are important checks because Chirality has not checked these yet.
All right, so we do have that purple chest and Bombos tablet done. I fully expect if it ends up being a Bombos tablet, we'll probably see Chirality check that right afterwards because it is, you know, right next to him as well. So kind of a good way to efficiently route these overworld locations together.
True, but he also forewent Haunted Grove Cave. And that'll be an unchecked location that he'll have to remember to potentially check. We know it's not important, but it's going to be in the back of his head.
Oh, there's a quake.
Boy.
Well,
it's in the purple chest, and JC, he's going to, he's going to check Bombo's tablet first off. But he's going to flute over to Meyer. He's going to see that it's Quake, and he's going to get his hammer in the shed, so he is going to be a couple minutes away from go mode.
That is very true. And that also does mean if he gets the hammer, that's a go mode Swamp Palace, go mode Ice Palace, as well as Meyer too. Well, I guess you need Quake to get into Meyer anyways, but still, that will kind of help him close this gap with Chirality. Yeah, there he goes. He's gonna go get that hammer right now.
Well, the one downside about being in go mode right this second is you don't have silvers for Vitreous, so Vitreous is going to suck. And you do not have any mails. You are still on green mail.
Yeah, definitely. This is a very, you know, despite having all these hearts, it's still a little scary doing Meyer. But he does have 50 arrows, so he does have more than enough to just use arrow strap on Vitreous. Should he go that route? But yeah, he'll go right into Meyer and get that go mode.
And that is go mode for JC. He is going to be clearing out all these dungeons at this point. Chirality, in his searching of Swamp, did find the Cane of Burna.
So that will be, I guess, not really too much of use at this point. Some places use it, like include the Roller Room and Turtle Rock, which we're not even going to see in this seed. But, you know, it could be a little bit nice safety item, just in case he needs it to use it on maybe some of those, bridges in the Ganon Tower.
Now, this also probably means that both runners' last dungeons, depending on how Chirality does the remainder of his routing, is likely going to be Eastern.
You know what? I wonder if he'll actually go to do Eastern right now, and maybe try to and do the Pyramid Fairy afterwards. See if that Quake is there, because the purple chest isn't really. I mean, it's kind of easy to pick up with the flute, but you may be thinking in terms of, you know, I have a certain amount of chests. Oh, he's gonna go back into left slot actually. So the more time he takes to check all these items, definitely gives JC plenty of time to catch up. So really, we don't know who is technically ahead. It's going to be really all about how long it takes the Chirality to find that quake at the purple chest.
I just realized another major concern. I mentioned earlier we don't have silvers. We know where one of those 2 remaining swords is.
Oh, there's the ether. No. Ether.
That's bad for Chirality.
Oh no. If he thinks that Turtle Rock is a requirement to find that item, especially with the early ice and fire rod, this got real bad real fast. Yeah,
Chirality may have been a wild goose chase here. And so going back to what I was saying too is what this means is if the runners don't find silvers, that will be a Master Sword silverless Ganon, which is absolute dread.
That is true. And that's something you do have to put some practice into. JC gonna check a couple chests, probably looking for, like you said, those silvers, or maybe even, that other sword upgrade that we haven't seen just yet. But that ether though, the ether is really big. I'm really afraid for Chirality right now if he thinks that Turtle Rock is gonna be a thing.
Yeah, and the thing too is even if he does find the silver arrows, and JC doesn't, it depends on how much time is spent finding them on either runner's case. And yeah, good point here in chat. If someone doesn't want to do a Master Sword silverless, they may opt to get that Temperate Sword by killing Aga.
Yeah, especially if you're not, terribly. Okay, yeah, Chirality actually finding his last item in Swamp, so he's not even gonna check that right item. But oh, there he goes. He's gonna get out of the dark world and get out of there. He's gonna. Let's see, where does he go next? He's going over to Pod.
Pod or Eastern. They're both technically options.
I would probably think Pod at this point because, like I said, we already know there's no items here left in Eastern. And if you're trying to make that Pyramid Fairy play, this is rough. This is Randomizer for you guys. Just that one kind of off location, holding something for progression, can really just throw you for a loop because now you're like checking these locations that mathematically should have your item, but it's really in that one location that just doesn't normally have anything.
JC down to 1.5 hearts going into his fight with Vitreous. No safeties remaining.
Right.
Use the cape to try and get as much damage dealt to Vitreous' small eyes as possible.
Gotta be careful. He's running out of that magic. Okay, but he does remember he has the bow. Oh, he's gonna sit in the corner, actually. I've personally never seen this before. Especially because aren't you going to take damage as soon as you walk down? Or oh, I didn't know that. I thought you took damage if you walked down there.
Well, he is going to barely keep himself alive then.
JC showing us, these next level Vitreous strats. I'm impressed, not gonna lie. Especially with the half heart as well. So he'll be picking up his Mire Crystal, which just leaves Swamp and Ice Palace, as well as Eastern. And then he'll be heading up to Turtle Rock. Or sorry, Gansour.
It's Chirality we have to worry about going up to get to Turtle Rock.
I don't think he checked the checkerboard cave yet. Yeah, he's probably looking, like I said, maybe to find just an extra sword.
He really wants the sword or the silvers, which means even though he's in go mode, he may choose to check a lot of items still. So it's hard to say how much of a lead he's going to gain.
Right. And also, just knowing JC, he's actually a good friend of mine. I know that he is exactly doing that. He doesn't want to do a Master Sword Ganning. It's not something, he enjoys doing very much. So he doesn't mind spending a little bit extra time trying to find that temper sword or just silvers to make that fight a little bit more bearable.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I don't blame them there. The Master Sword Ganon is long. Master Sword Silver Ganon is even longer. So yeah, this still could go either way, just based on how much more JC decides to check.
Right. Also, Chirality's making pretty quick work of Pod. Does not opt to reset that one room with the beetles. So when you jump down, they're just going to knock you back into the pit behind the switches. So this could just be like about execution, despite not making, the best routing. If he's good enough to get through these locations quick enough, he could catch up and find that purple chest. But it's going to be about, does he go to Turtle Rock, or does he opt to maybe check those random locations?
Well, for his sake, we're kind of hoping he does, because he could really get off the intended logic here. So Chirality will find a couple items here in Pod. Pod does have 5 items in it. Like between our pendant dungeons, there's like 15 items locked behind them. It's kind of surprising how many are kind of just kept out of the runner's hands here.
Yeah, Pod is, I think, trying to determine whether or not to go into a pendant pod is probably one of the most difficult decisions to make when you really get to the nitty gritty of, now analyzing a seed. It's still hard to tell whether or not like those items are going to be there depending on what you find early. Fortunately, he's not going to find that quake there, and he's going to actually head to Helmasaur King. So Chirality will not be very happy to see, just whatever he does drop for him.
Well, I think Chirality's thinking here, and it's not the worst thinking, is Pod is a green pendant. So in his mind, he may as well clear it out, then do Eastern, then check Sahasrara on the way out.
Right. It's always important to factor in, the fact that you get that one extra item too. But it could be a double-edged sword because, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to find the item that you're looking for, even though it's just an extra location.
Yeah, another thing to note too, JC was the one who checked Ped, so Chirality has no idea that Ped is not what he needs for the Quake.
Yeah, and then too, with the ether opening up a Turtle Rock, it could be, you could be thinking, okay, maybe, it is, I need to clear out Turtle Rock too to get, whatever is on pedestal, and may not be thinking to check it.
His thought may just be blind pull.
Which I hope isn't the case, because like I said, the more time he takes searching for that quake, the more time it gives JC to catch up and then get these crystal dungeons out of the way. So he's about to clear out Swamp, still looking for a Temper Sword or Silvers, which are still in locations that we don't know about. Possibly, Ganon's Tower will have both of them. It's definitely not the first time that we wouldn't see that.
Yeah, I guess there's a bit of a little bit of info for anybody who did come in here late. We know there's a sword in Lumberjack Cave, but it would be quite the time sink to go and do that just for the Tempered Sword. Now, arguably, if JC really wanted that sword, he could just go do that and it probably spend him the same time doing that he is checking these dungeons. But it depends. He also is just thinking of the high quantity of items that are within the dungeons that he's going into.
Yeah, I think if he ends up doing it, it'll most likely be after Ganon's tower, at least. So that way, if you kill
Oh, those
one,
were silvers.
oh, silver's on. That's okay. Well, all we're looking for is a temper sword to just make that Ganon fight a little bit simpler. But JC getting taken down low by Argus. Has to be a little bit careful with the hitbox of those little ads that he has on him, because they can definitely hit you once. And with Green Tunic, they're going to hit hard.
Yeah, I think JC is one hit away from dying. Because I believe Argus and his Argai, the tiny little balls, I think they do 2 hearts. And JC's not going to go finish Eastern, but finding those silvers could be big.
Yeah, that's a really quick phase 4 Ganon. Oh no, he does take that hit, so he will have to come all the way back in.
Yeah, that hurts. JC's been struggling a little bit against a couple of these bosses. I think in this instance, he just took a little bit too much damage from the Argai. When you pull the Argai down, they kind of land on top of your hitbox. So you have like a second to get away from them before they just hurt you.
I probably expect them after this to probably head over to the Witch's Hut and pick up a few safety potions. It takes, very little time. You got the flute, plus you have to go to the Light World anyways to get to Ice Palace. So I'm hoping he remembers that is available to him, because that will make a very kind of hard fight, Cold Stare fight with Green Tunic a lot simpler for him.
Who got silvers? The Chirality did. He found them on Helmasaur King. You can see him actually using them right now against a bunch of the enemies in Eastern.
So we still do have, pretty close race. Despite, like I said, JC being in Go mode, able to do these Go mode dungeons, like Chirality is making up for that with just pure execution, knocking out all these other locations. So, despite doing, this extra pod, even maybe Turtle Rock, he could still catch up quite easily. We'll definitely see the Pyramid Fairy check, though. I fully expect him to do that before heading into Turtle Rock. And JC already taking a little bit of damage from those Argai. He's going to have to be a little careful. Okay. Here's that green pendant turn in that we're going to see, too.
Alright, Chirality gonna turn in Green Pendant, just see what Sahasrahla had on him. 20 rupees. Okay, Chirality, for the love of all that is merciful and randomizer, please do not go right to T-Rock.
Oh, okay, he is going over to Dark World.
He might be picking up a couple of the mirror locations.
Yeah, especially with how late the mirror showed up. It's really easy to think maybe, hey, it's a breadcrumb for, progression. JC not taking any risks at all and just busting out the cape there. Okay, so he is going to head over to Thieves Town. He's going to the big chest.
I mean, I kind of forgot about this location again, but at the same time, this is a little bit more time he's wasting. JC has downed Argus and is going to go over towards Ice next, presumably.
All right, JC. Get those blue potions. Get those safety items before you head over to Cold Stare, because we do not want to see you pass. Oh no, he's going straight to Ice Palace. Which is fine, maybe he's more confident with Cold Stare than he is for Argus, but I mean, I think if I'm a little bit behind, I'd be a little bit scared. about doing those with just the green tunic. But here we go, JC Inter.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned that he did not go to get a potion prior to ice, though. I don't think he'll need it, but it means he's expecting to use his sword predominantly against Cold Stare, maybe even hammer.
Right. You're most likely not going to have enough magic to kill Cold Stare, especially not having the bombos to break him out of the shell too. So he's going to keep checking a little bit, for those chests. So it's not going to be a full go mode, I believe. Whether or not he goes to that right side. Okay. Oh, here we go. Chirality going over to the purple chest.
Probably hammer picks too.
Panicking a bit to see that quake. He'll do the hammer picks first, of course. But he's going to be probably not too happy to see the quake is on the purple chest after clearing out Palace of Darkness.
Now, the item that was inside the Thieves' Town was actually 300 more rupees. I don't know if Blind even knew he had that much money in his dungeon.
Well, he's blind. He can't see. All right, so we got a much closer race. Like, Crowley, I think, is a little bit more behind just because he has to clear out Meyer still, and JC's already working with finishing Ice Palace. But Crowley definitely shown us he's a little bit stronger on execution. So he could be, make up that time with just being able to get through all this really fast. And we're going to see that bomb jump, so that way JC can go straight to Cold Stare instead of having to clear out other stuff. Oh, yeah, and JC
he may... I was going to say, he might still be looking for items, so I'm curious if he is still going to full clear the dungeon even after this jump. And if he is, then he didn't really need to do the jump. Chirality showcased that earlier.
Yeah.
It's a little... No, that's actually right. Okay, he got it.
Yeah, definitely if you want to do a full clear of...
Oh.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. I was panicking a bit right there, too.
Yeah, but that is Quake for Chirality. He's got go mode. He's not happy with our lunchbox opener over here, Gary, I believe his name is, and he's going to go straight over to Meyer and clear it out. Memory Star's big key was not in a very good location in Meyer.
Yeah, he'll have to go a little bit further in before he finds that. So not the perfect go mode for Meyer, but still, he's got to be feeling good just knowing he doesn't have to go into Turtle Rock for that. JC heading over. Still trying to find that one item. Then go ahead and check that big chest too, since he did pick up the big key. But Crowley definitely in a little bit better spot too, because he does have the silvers for phase 4 Ganon, which is going to be quite a significant time save over just even just Tempered Sword phase 4 Ganon. It's pretty slow compared to silvers if they end up fighting it. And talk about that Turtle Rock bait. Getting Cane of Samaria from Uncle, and then both rods in the back of Escape. Rando, please.
Yeah, that is like the worst bait. Alright, JC's made it to Cold Stare, and did opt to clear most of the dungeon, or clear less of the dungeon, but the fact that Cold Stare just split up here means he's not getting him caught in the corner and doing the extra damage that you'd like to do to Cold Stare.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. Oh, he's already low on health. One hit from Cold Stare himself is a death.
Yeah, I think he can take potentially one hit from the ice blocks, but if Cold Stare so much as grazes him, he is gone.
Right, and that's just a benefit of getting those potions, just in case something like that. Oh man,
Oh boy!
I'm on the
now
edge of my
anything
seat
hitting
right
him
now.
kills him.
Oh, come on, JC, please. Oh no, that hit.
The worst part about Death in Ice Palace is that it is probably the costliest death, one of the most costly in Rando. And he's out of magic, so he can't get back in.
All right, now he's gonna go back. Well, obviously he has to go get something because he can't get back in. But,
I imagine he's gonna go get those potions. Probably kicking himself a little bit for not grabbing them prior to going to the dungeon.
Yeah, there it is. There's that 2 flute.
Chirality, during the process of that, did find Myers' big key, so he is going straight to Vitreous. JC, you might wanna... Yeah, I think he forgot. In fact, he's gonna go do Eastern now. I guess that's how he's gonna get his magic back, because he could have gotten a green potion from the witch, drank it immediately, and then bought some blue potions.
That's true. This is kind of a cool decision I never really thought of. Like, yeah, if you have another dungeon you're able to do in go mode, just go ahead and get the refill from the crystal. So kind of convenient for him. Chirality gonna head into that silver Vitreous fight. We're gonna see that done super fast compared to those cape strats.
Yeah, silver arrows trivialize any difficulty this boss can pose.
And there's that double on Vitreous. Definitely turns a pretty kind of difficult fight, or at least tense, given how much damage he does to you, into one of the easiest ones in the entire game.
I like how Chirality has killed almost every single boss in this particular run. He gets to dodge the turtle. That's about it.
All right. So with that last crystal being found by Chirality, chat already knows they're getting into it. Feel free to throw in your guesses for what what location number the Ganon's Tower big key will be in, 1 through 22. If you win, then pat yourself on the back. We do not have the bot. The bots are only available in the Speed Gaming channels, not the Link to the Past randomizer, I believe.
Yes, they are not on the ALTTP rando channels, so no tracking the wins or losses here. So,
but you will be memorialized in the VOD chat. So, this is your shot at glory.
well, I guess we still have our guesses on where this key is going to be. I was pretty.
I'm gonna say 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's gonna be pretty early on. I don't know if it's gonna be 3. I'm thinking 7, and that's simply just because I was fairly mean with the prediction on the medallion. This seed. Want to give back a little bit. That was a good NMG set up Armos with the normal bow though.
Yeah, he got that quick kill, so good on him. But no, the reason I think it's going to be 3 is because, like I said, those boots have not led to anything at all this whole seed. So I'm really going to kind of bank on the boots usage being that Bob's torch. If they go right side to check first, at least. All right, JC going to head back into the Ice Palace. Has that full magic, has potions, as Chirality does enter the Ganon's Tower for the final part of our race. All right, so we did pick up a key there. So it means he will go ahead and go over the right side. Bob's torch will go unknown for now. We do have 4 locations over on this side, plus a small key pickup.
JC, meanwhile, working his way back through Ice Palace. Going to be another couple minutes before he can get back to the boss, and he still has not found the sword or silvers he was really hoping to find to make the remainder easier. That was chest 4.
Well, hey, it was still close. But yeah, that's a really early location to find it, especially if you decide to make that right side gamble too.
Yeah, that is a very good right side gambles key find. And that means Chirality just has to go up the top of the tower. Looks like he still has a fairy, too. And very low on health, I just noticed.
Yeah, I don't think he has any other safeties. Plus,
he's got a potion and a fairy, I saw that much. But
oh, he does? Okay.
Yeah, this entire scene has been the situation of where were the males?
Right. Maybe we'll see, one male on the Moldorm chest and then the one in the room before Moldorm as well. Just to kind of, mess with our runners' emotions a bit, saying, hey, you got this far with Green Mail. We'll just give you those final 2 tunics just to see if...
well, blue mail is really all you need. The red mail is kind of just extra protection, but the blue mail is what you really want, just to have some damage reduction. Because look at how much health Chirality loses with every single enemy he runs into and doesn't end up killing. He's down to 2 hearts. I think most enemies at this point can kill him in a single hit.
Right. He'll probably go ahead and pick up these 2 fairies right here, just to be on the safe side. Oh, no,
he's not.
Into the gauntlet. All right.
Okay.
Well, props to Chirality. Heading into the gauntlet with 2 hearts.
And down he goes.
Down he goes.
Here goes his fairy.
Yeah, that fairy is going to help. I wonder if he goes back down at this point. Because, I don't know, did we pick up the net at all?
I do not believe we did. And Chirality is opting to use silvers in this room. If you have half magic with the fire rod, you can spam it to your heart's content in Gauntlet if you really want to. It takes out things like the Stalfos pretty quickly because there's no burning animation when they get hit by the fire rod. They just poof and disappear. And it tends to make that second Gauntlet room a lot easier.
Yeah, these rooms are pretty difficult if the enemies decide to just walk, to the other side, especially with the spikes kind of blocking everything. You see him getting stuck in the corner of those spikes, just constantly getting hit by the Beamos. Unfortunately.
Yeah, there's also the matter of you have Master Swords, so you're not actually doing much damage to any of these enemies.
There's that potion being thrown down. Probably see JC blow his potion too as he's working on Cold Stare with the fire rod as well. But look at that, already half HP off, a couple 2 quick hits, but does go ahead and take him down.
Oh, that's where that other fairy was. There was one on Cold Stare.
Meanwhile, Chirality finishing off Lambles 2 with that 2 cycle with the fire rod. Going to be heading into the easier part of the Ganon's Tower ascent, while JC heads over to Eastern Palace to grab his final crystal.
Well, JC got that. He's actually just going to go probably potions in the tower. Nope, just tower.
Yeah, I forgot he did grab that before or in between Ice Palace visits.
Yeah, he went to go refill his magic through a dungeon clear.
So here at our Legend of Zelda Randomizer tournament, we have a big key guessing game, which we already know is number 4. We'll see if JC decides to go to the right side first after finding that small key. But at this point, I think Chirality would probably have to see a couple like Ganon falls for JC to catch up.
Well, Chirality is doing Master Sword with Green Mail on these first couple of phases, so there's still a good chance if he has not been practicing this that he may die a few times trying to kill Ganon.
And he doesn't have any additional potions, I believe,
I think
whereas
he has
JC
one.
does have that fairy. He
I think
did
Crowley
blow
has
one, though.
He did buy 2 earlier. I think he downed one of them.
Oh!
Okay, now I
This-
think Crowley's fine.
I'm pretty sure this seed is just listening to us and literally changing the item locations as we talk about them.
Yeah, we've gotten a few weird things here. The mirror near T-Rock,
Yeah,
the
Temper Sword
go mode
right
item
here.
being a medallion
Temper Sword
predominantly,
right here.
and that mail right before the end of the seed.
It wasn't Temper Sword, but it was red still, so I'll give some effort to the logic for putting that there. You almost got it.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely getting that blue mail right before Master Sword again, and probably the best thing you want to see other than a Temper Sword itself.
Yeah, either of those items would have made it a lot more comfortable for Chirality to finish this out. JC is opening up GT. Never did find the sword or the silvers he was looking for. We know where one of those ended up, but we never did find the 4th sword.
Yeah, definitely with one of the swords being on Aghanim, Lumberjack Cave. We weren't gonna
Nice
see that
triple.
picked up. Yeah, probably getting a pretty clean Aghanim 2 fight with that triple. I believe that was a 1-2. Was it 1-2-3?
I believe so,
I think
yes.
there's okay. So very, very easy fight for him. He's going to be heading into his Ganon fight with that Master Sword and the silvers.
JC went
Clean
left.
this up. Oh, JC, yeah. But maybe we'll see a sword get picked up here, but still, that's a lot of time spent looking for a sword when we know again the big key is on the other side.
Yeah. I mean, normally you would go this way. Some people make that right side gamble like Chirality did because they trust in it. Oh, hey, Bug Net.
Where's that net?
Not the arrow he wants.
Right.
Very important arrow, though. And say no to Skeleton, to Stalfos.
Yeah, pretty easy way to clear that room.
So Chirality has progressed again into phase 2.
Not getting great spawns, though. We really want to see him in that right top corner. To quickly get
Down
those
here is
spans.
pretty good, though, if you want to use your cape.
That is true. And with the half magic as well.
I would have done it. He does have a potion.
Yeah, I would be burning some magic just to at least get through this. Oh, you
boy.
gotta be careful.
Okay, maybe he does. Actually, no, he downed his potion in gauntlets.
He did.
He's out of safeties, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's why he wasn't
One
using
hit.
the cape.
You may just be waiting for him to go into that top right corner to get those corner slashes really easily. But yeah, this is a...
Yep.
Yeah, see how he is holding that wall there. Oh, he's going to be careful. And
Yeah,
his runners...
he's... Oh,
there
it goes. But yeah, he's holding the wall to... And, like, moving, I guess, a little bit. It's basically he's trying to keep the cape from draining his magic by doing this.
He's going to go grab...
He's grabbing the potion. He doesn't want to risk dying again. It's the safe call. He has the flute. It's a quick trip. Only costs him like a minute.
He did
Another fall could cost him so much more.
Spot, though. Because you'll have to go back inside of Hyrule Castle to get back to it, as opposed to just doing it in the courtyard.
Good point. He probably should have put that mirror portal a little lower. Had Aghanim been defeated, the front gate would also act as a portal, but yeah, this is going to mess things up a little bit. And he's in fact just going to use the portal over here.
Interesting. But still, yeah, picking up those potions, definitely a good call. Just to ensure that does not happen again. But I mean, if you're thinking at this point with how much you had to do, if he's kind of watching the speed racing channel itself and sees that his opponent hasn't finished, maybe thinking, okay, well, I do have a little bit of leeway to grab these potions possibly. JC gonna go for that. Throws the bomb outside the room. I've actually never seen that happen before. Yes, the bomb is deciding to do exploration glitch a little bit. Gonna warp his way to Ganon, but JC is gonna have to go through the long way.
And JC also got to deal with Ice Armos now.
Making pretty quick work of it though. It's standing in one spot.
And
right,
Chirality trying
round
to do
two, Ganon. He can opt to use that cape now. He doesn't have to worry about. Oh, this is a great spot. If he can push him over right now, this is where he wants Ganon to be. Unfortunately, does not get it.
Down to potion 2.
I think he picked up 2 potions because he used one of. Well, no, I think he picked up 3, but he used one of them to refill his magic. So he does have an additional potion here, but still, it's a little scary of a fight.
JC, you're checking tile room 2. Man, means he spent a long time in the tower.
Yeah. That right side gamble, not a bad one to make if you find that small key early, because that saves you a whole ton of time going through, that left side. Rowdy, still running a little bit low on HP with these fire bats. He's already 1 hit away. Now has to deal with that rotating one. Gonna go ahead and blow that potion again. But that does conclude the amount of potions that he has. Let's be a little bit careful for not to get knocked into these pits.
Yeah, he got tagged by another bat too. Those bats definitely hurt. If we're fight a bit even with blue mail, they do, I think, 3 hearts.
All right, so here we are going to the last part. This is the easy part of the fight, but just has to make sure that he does not fall in, because if that happens, then that's not a great spot to be in.
No. He also did not get torch glitch, which is going to make this a little tricky.
Does miss that 3rd arrow, so he does have a pretty easy one right here. Gonna give that 3rd hit and just needs 1 more hit to clear out this race, which he's gonna do right now, meaning we have our first place winner for the race between Chirality and JC. Winner being Chirality with a speed racing TV time of 1 hour, 53 minutes, and 18 seconds. Congratulations.
JC found his big key and is working his way up, but it's unfortunately too little too late, as he also gets tagged by the anti-fairy here. And probably forgot he had another fairy.
So congrats to Chirality for taking this win. Definitely a pretty crazy race up until the end. JC having the routing, but not the execution, but Chirality having the routing, but unfortunately having that big chest, or the purple chest having that item he needed for go mode. Read a book. All right, well, let's see if we can get Chirality in here for an interview. I do see him in the waiting room. So let's go ahead and drag him down. Give them a big old GG. Welcome and congrats on your win, Chirality.
I don't feel like I deserve winning this. My play was beyond awful.
Felt like it was a little sloppy.
That was one of my worst performances in a long time.
Mm.
Okay,
Especially
well,
the end, I
really-
did. In the end, I did everything to lose.
Well, who
Yeah,
really
interestingly-
expects Purple Chest having, your go mode item, to be honest?
Especially since the last race that I won, my go mode item wasn't Purple Chest. It's
Oh,
just hunting
Wow.
me. Yeah, it was the Ice
Well-
Rod.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Well, we know. So for week 4, when we watch your race, we better see that Purple Chest check immediately.
See, that's the thing, though. Like, it has to flow, and the way routing goes with the seed, like going back for Purple Chest didn't actually make sense when you can actually like chain dungeons, especially when you can full clear ice, which is a crystal. You can full clear swamp, which is a crystal. You can chain doing pod, and pod that's a green pennant, so that's 6 items plus finishing Eastern, plus you're right there to actually turn independent. Like you have all these things to do, so it never really made sense to ever come back just for Purple Chess early on in the game. And I felt like I always had better things to do than go back for Purple Chess. Like I made a lot of gambles. I went Catfish. I went like a lot of minor places. So you can't just do all of them at the same time. Just pick your poison. Pick your poison, basically. And the seed decided that Purple Chest was my poison.
Yeah, interestingly, your opponent actually ended up being in go mode prior to you because he ended up doing, I believe, Smiths and Purple Chest at the same pass. I think he waited a bit to do his check. He didn't do them immediately.
You must have had a mirror for that. I didn't have the mirror when I did Smith.
He did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he would probably have gotten in an interesting position in this race, but he spent a lot of time trying to find a sword or silvers. He had a couple of boss deaths this seed, and I think he was hoping to have at least a tempered sword or silvers for Ganon, and didn't find either. You actually found the silvers while he was still looking.
Interesting.
Yeah, when he was technically in go mode, he still had Mire, Swamp, and Ice to clear in full, and he had to go back and do Eastern.
But still, that's like the dream, though. Go moding Swamp and Ice.
Yeah.
Which I had to full clear, and there was basically nothing. Well, there was Eater in Swamp, and I was just like, do I go to the rock? Is Quake into a rock? Please. No,
Thank heavens
no,
you
I don't.
didn't. That would have been terrible in this particular instance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the seed literally gave you everything for Turtle Rock in the first 6 minutes, with the exception of just like Dark World access. So it's like, let's go ahead and throw a pendant at it, and
Double
see if
rods.
anyone falls for this.
Oh, yeah. I was so tempted, actually. And I was kind of hitting myself in the head also of not doing a pet check, because there was a point where I was just like finishing the combo of Pod and Eastern, and I was like, Quake can totally be on Ped. And I could have checked Ped since like minute 8. Am I losing this race because I didn't make that check? Like, I don't know. But
Well, that's randomizer for you.
yeah.
Obviously, the evidence of Purple Chest, having that go mode item as opposed to all these locations, like you said, just kind of flowing really well together, is enough to kind of demonstrate exactly what Rando is all about.
Oh yeah, like my last race is actually a nice way to illustrate what Rendo was all about. Just to be quick, basically in the last seed, which the race I lost, if you check Agnes Cave, the entire seed was the freest free thing ever. Because Agnes Cave gave you the mirror, which led you to Death Mountain to find boots and hook shot, which and every single other item in the seed was like places that you were going to check. Like Ice Rod was in the bumpable hut south of Thieves Town, and like more items were in, say, Hype Cave. Like everything just flowed for perfect 1 hour 20 seed. I didn't check Agnes Cave. I checked Agnes Cave over an hour in the seed. So, yeah, nothing works then. But that's the nature of Rando in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's what we both love and hate about the randomizer.
Yeah.
Yeah, those Sphere 1 locations, they can really, mess with you.
And once again, it's just, you need to pick your poison at some point. You can't just clear everything. Because if you find nothing, you're just losing. At some point, you can afford to make more checks if you feel like you have better execution than your opponent, but there's a limit to that. You know you have a certain buffer, but you need to not overextend it.
Yeah, and that's what kind of really worked out for you in this seed, despite not being in go mode as quick as JC was. You had the benefit of just having that superior execution, being able to clear out bosses right away. Whereas JC has taken quite a few deaths to Cold Stare and Mothula. So definitely your execution did pay off a lot in this race.
Except my Ganon fight.
Yeah, he's also
Where-
with Aga 2 currently. He lost a fairy in this fight already, and I don't think he has any more.
Oh, he might need to do the same thing that I did. He didn't find his sword?
Nope, and he did just down Agadim.
So we do have a missing tempered sword, or sword upgrade, I guess, which I'm probably going to assume is Internal Rock.
Oh, yeah, it's very likely. Did he full clear GT?
Yep, except for the big chest, pretty much every chest. He even checked Tower Room.
Oh, he didn't even find powder either. Must
So
have
he
been
went left side instead of the right side play that you did. So
Yeah.
kind of just did it naturally while looking for the big key.
I was wondering if I was going to get bit because the fourth sword would be left side. But at that point, I just had to keep going because I felt super behind. I really felt like I didn't deserve to win this scene. Just the way things went, and just if I just did purple chest earlier, then I don't go to pod at all. Then I'd go mode 3 dungeons, and then sure, the Ganon fight's harder, but just take your time, be chill about it. Everything's fine. You have 3 balls. So I would have just taken my time, and instead of daring the Ganon fight and then committing suicide on the bats like an idiot, I would have just filled my balls exactly what he's doing right now. Fill your balls, just be chill about it, and take your time. It's whatever.
And I am wondering
definitely a nice
exactly whether he will be going just straight to Gan here. I imagine he will, but like we mentioned, he did spend a while kind of hoping to find a sword.
Did he check Lumberjack Cave? Did he know that there was a sword there?
knows the check,
Yes,
Because
but
at some point you have so much overall location, you might have to think, I may as well just do Aga 1, and it's going to take me 5 minutes, but I'm guaranteed to get that sword.
yeah, well, it looks like he's going to
and-
try to do the Master Silverless.
He also has a lot more overworld to check than you do, since he found that early Quake. So
Oh yeah,
I'm sure his map is probably filled up with green, and it's like, do I really want to spend this much time gambling on a sword upgrade that may just end up being a Churl Rock or something?
from my perspective, it could have been. So it could have been one of the items in Mar. Could have been Fat Fairy, Spike Cave, Graveyard Ledge, Mushroom Turn In, or
Yep, all still on the
Turok.
table.
Yeah,
Magic Bat.
everything that I
technically, too.
name is everything that I just name is the things that I did not do this seed. That's it.
Yeah. Here I'm kind of being a 153 from looks of it as well. We can probably chalk that up in part to the quick GT key find.
Yeah, as well.
All right, so you'll be heading into 2-1. Not a bad bracket to actually be in, especially if you're trying to get to that bracket phase, because I think you'll have a few rounds before you really begin to see, those evenly matched opponents. Because I know you kind of had a evenly matched one for the first round that kind of shook up, how the seeding was for you.
Yeah, well, it was a really good match though, and like I had a shot at winning Massacre match as well. It's just that the game-winning play is a play that I don't personally favor early on, so I kind of lost that seed on generation, and that's the nature of Rando. People have different play styles. You can't win them all. You just try to you just try to have a play style that is going to enable you to win most of them, and there's a little element of luck as well in the tournament pairings and just seed generation. So it's just like if you're a fan of crazy gambles and to win a seed you need to make all of the crazy gambles, then you're super happy. But if you're a style of player that is very thorough and want to make all of the checks that make sense, and then you get the freest seed ever if you just go straight to the crystal dungeons, then you feel like an idiot, and someone that is more of a crazy gambler just destroys you by 20 minutes. It's just the nature of the game, but gotta love it.
Yeah, I run with a similar mindset to you. I try to make sure everything's checked off. I try to not check Agina because it's a terrible check and I don't like going over there. So I would be in your boat, probably in that same race.
Yeah. But it's funny as well because I made that conscious decision. No, I'm not checking Agina this scene, but I just did all the other things like, oh, let's go do Catfish. Let's go Graveyard Ledge when I don't have mitts or boots to make the other checks around. Like, let's go Bumper Cave and check what's there. I did everything except Agina's Cave. So sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just don't win, and it's fine. Frustrating at the moment, but you get over it. Anyway, like, we're in this tournament just to have fun, really. There's not really any glory or fame to be had, just some enjoyment, playing some good rando with the folks.
So JC on his first attempt did actually die again. He just died again, actually, trying to dodge a fire bat. Hookshot plinked off the pig.
Oh. Doesn't have fairies.
Yeah, the one he used was last time, and he did not down a potion. He downed a potion, he didn't down another one while he was trying to get through the second part.
Oh, that's rough.
Part of me is wondering, as an observer, whether or not he is thinking, if I can reach Ganon's fourth phase, he'll tell me where silvers are and I'll just go and grab them.
Oh, that's entirely possible. But then he have to full clear pod and kill Homa.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll want to go all the way back to pod, especially because I think he saw the result of the race already, hence the bug net strats he was using. So
yeah, he did bug net Aga a little bit, or at least tried to. I imagine if he was like looking for silvers, you'd probably go after that tempered sword. He knows where it is first. So
yeah,
I don't know.
How long has he been spending trying to kill Aga or like looking for a sword so far?
Like, since Gobo, he has opened a lot of chests. He like opened every chest on the way to Argus.
Yeah, I think in this spot I would have just focused on clear all the dungeons, finish kill Aga 2, and try the fight. And if you can do it, well, you know where sword is. It takes 5 minutes, but you're guaranteed to get it instead of gambling like half of the checks of the entire game and several dungeons.
So for anyone who is, in this tournament or just playing rando, definitely Master Sword Ganon is one of those things that you do want to work on pretty early, because V29 loves to hide swords from you. And if you go into this fight with no practice, you're gonna have a really rough time. I know I did when I got this on like my first or second ever rando seed. I had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
you kind of need to Google how to do it, or have someone explain to you like exactly what are the frames that you need to hit. And then
the main reason that Master Sword Ganon is so loathed by the community is because you have to spin with the Master Sword to do any damage to Ganon, whereas with a Tempered Sword you could just do a slash. And the Master Sword is also slower at doing Silverless than Tempered Sword. Tempered Sword only needs 12 spins, along with the Butter Sword, and Master Sword needs twice as much, 24. So not only do you have an excruciatingly long Phase 1, but you also have a really long Phase 4 that is just elongated by you having an inefficient sword.
Yeah, and it's also the most difficult phase, the one that's going to take most of your damage, is basically this phase, phase 2, because of the fire bats and the hitboxes of that ring when you're trying to do spins can be deceptive, and sometimes you just get hit dumbly running into it, like I did when I died to Ganon. Yeah, these hitboxes are really deceptive. So when you're done with that phase, at least it gets easier, but it's just long. And long, especially like this is 2 hours and 10 into a seed. Players are getting tired at that point. So like you have much more opportunities to make mistakes just because you're tired. So long round means you make more mistakes, means you get hit here, you get hit there, and suddenly you need to drink a potion. And you still need to light these torches over and over again. So if you drink all of your potions for health, if you drink all of your potions, oh no. Well, at least now he knows where silvers are.
He's going back in. He only has 1 potion. I'm a little surprised he has not broken out that cape.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think he doesn't have silver, so he may be thinking, I don't want to waste all my magic before I get to phase 4.
He might not know about the cape glitch that I did.
I mean, he may also not. I would assume, or at least hope, he knows about Torch Glitch.
Oh, definitely. That's just too common.
Yeah, he can just use a lamp.
You cannot watch a match without seeing people talk about it or do it, so...
True.
I'd be amazed if he doesn't know about Torch Glitch, but the cape glitch is a lot less common. Basically, how it works for the people that don't know is that when you use the cape and you face a wall neutrally, you don't push the wall, and you just grab it, your cape will actually not drain any magic at all. So you can just stay there invincible permanently until you release the wall. So that glitch is really useful for like phases like that, like Master Sword phase 2 Ganon, because like instead of using these hookshot strats to actually dodge the bats, you can just pop your cape and hold a wall, and it's basically free. Just the time of the cape activation plus grabbing the wall is the magic drain, but with like half magic, it's basically free. And the other situations where it can be helpful is when you're doing these tile rooms, so you don't really have to worry at all. Especially the one in GT is especially one that is just nice to just be able to rest a little bit.
I will say it's definitely good of JC to try and clean this out, but I think he just decided to call it quits.
Yeah, we did get the forfeit, which, yeah, I mean, if you know this fight's a little rough and your opponent has already finished, you may be thinking, okay, I'm gonna put some serious work into this for next week and not let this happen again.
Yeah, he made some serious cracks at that, but Master Sword Silverless, Master Sword Ganon in general can be difficult. Master Sword Silverless is something you do probably want to practice at least once, just because it takes a long time to do, like we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, indeed.
I don't know if he'll come in for an interview. I'll wait and kind of see if he joins the waiting room or not. But in the meantime, still, congrats on your win. Despite kind of just rando being rando, essentially. Hopefully next week it's not as bad.
Yeah, it looks like JC's in Twitch chat, so I don't know if we'll get him in here or not.
That's up to him, but
that's okay.
Yeah,
I'll roast him later.
After a seed like that, and like how long he spent trying to do that fight, if he would like to abstain and not really talk right now, that's entirely fine. I would understand that entirely.
Oh yeah, it happens. Still, like if it wasn't for that, I would have lost this race straight up, just because of how long it took me to actually find Quake. So, like, I can actually comment on everything they did this seed, obviously, because I've just been playing, and cheating is bad for obvious reasons. But like, I'd be interested to actually look back at how things went and see if maybe I can give him some tips here and there so he can improve. That'll be nice.
Looks like he will probably be joining us.
Oh,
There he
nice.
is right there.
What's up, my dude?
Hey, what's going on?
That was
was-
tough to watch.
That was something. That was definitely something. I'm honestly surprised that I didn't lose about half an hour sooner.
You actually had go mode
GG.
first.
On your win. That Master Sword Ganon was something else.
Yeah, I think that if it wasn't for that, you would actually have beaten me. Because what happened is that when I came out of Thieves Town, I did Smith, and only Smith. And then I just had better things to do every time. So I actually full cleared Ice, full cleared Swamp, full cleared Pod, which actually got me silvers. And after that, I finally finished Eastern. And then I went back to do Purple Chest and actually get Quake.
Oh,
So that took me a long time to hit Go mode. But as soon as I got Quake, it's just like fly to Misery Mire, find Big Key, finish game.
yeah. See, I felt like I got Hammer really late. Like I felt like you did the exact same thing I did, but better. So I feel like I just felt like you were going to be way ahead of me. Like after I found Hammer and it opened up everything, I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to win this. So like as soon as I hit go mode, I just go mode as much as I could, and I checked this little like chest as I could find, just looking for another sword or silvers. But I knew how good of a player you are, so I knew I had to gamble on just trying to get to Ganon and actually doing the Master Sword Ganon. But
Yeah, but like, even you can be a better player execution-wise, and you can get just rune over a location that you made a conscious decision. I'm not going to do that because I have better things to do, and that's exactly what happened to me. Like full clear Pod, full clear Ice, full clear Swamp, and like it just took me so long to actually get the Gomon that actually, like, you knew about the sword at the Lumberjack Cave, right?
yeah,
I think you could have just done Agawon, get that tempered, and I think you would have won.
Yeah, I knew that sword was there, and I was just really hoping to find another progressive sword somewhere, either in the few chests that I checked in Swamp or Ice, or in GT. But
well, I have a list of all the locations that I didn't do. And so that sword, the fourth sword that I also did not find, I did Master Sword with silvers though.
okay,
It had to be one of the items in Mire, Bombo's Tablet, Graveyard Cave, the Mushroom Turn-In, Fat Fairy, Spike Cave, or Turrock. Those were
Okay.
the options for the fourth sword.
well, that was a fun seed, and I'm sure it was probably a fun race to watch. So I wish I would have finished, but after dying on that Master Sword Ganon, really, like my second or third attempt at the Ganon fight, I died in phase, like right when phase 4 was starting. I got hit by one of the bats, and it just completely took me out of it.
There is no shame in it. Like I died as well to Ganon. I was doing phase 2, and I just ran into the bat circle and killed myself. So I was like, well, okay, I'm just going to mirror, fly to buy potions, and come back to make sure that my second attempt succeeds. But like, my silver, no, not silver. My Master Sword cannon is also quite rusty, and I should practice it. So
Yeah,
it's a thing that we all can all benefit from.
it's
getting
funny because
consistent.
it's funny because while I was waiting for the seed, I was practicing Master Sword Ganon in the practice hack, and because like my first race in the tournament in week 1 was a Master Sword Ganon.
Yeah.
So, like, I was trying to prepare for it. I was like, I know I'm going to get stuck in another situation where it's going to come down to Master Sword Ganon, and it did. But it's such a tough fight. It really is.
Yeah, it's also like, as a lot of people say, it's the last leg of the race, and you've probably been playing for nearly 2 hours at that point. So being able to just get there and put your tiredness aside and just have the execution, they can just play on autopilot kind of and not make mistakes and be able to get through the fight is actually huge. So that's the thing that I also want to be able to do. So I'm just going to grind that fight for a while.
Yeah. Well, GG. It was that was a pretty fun seed up until the end. So
yeah, I'll
GG.
be really curious to watch the early game, how that went, the first hour especially, until
The early stuff actually was fairly close between you two, and something else that didn't get brought up yet. You guys were on green mail for like 99% of that seed.
Oh yeah.
oh yeah, that's the thing that I just accepted, and my sprite is nice in green, so why not?
I know. I left Skullwoods because I died to Moth.
Okay, and
and-
Mod gave. What did Mod gave Cape?
Yeah, Moth gave.
Was it-
It wasn't anything, but I spent a few minutes because I died once. I went back in, I died again. So and then I left after that and came back later.
Yeah, that's a bad time loss, but it's better to just not push in and keep dying. Just come
Yeah.
back later when you're
But
confident you have more potions or more balls. Or
One thing,
Yeah.
one thing that I definitely need to work on is just like my Master Sword boss fights or Fighter Sword boss fights because I died to Moth and I died to Cold Stare. So
yeah,
that's definitely one thing that I need to work on in case I get stuck in another situation like this.
green mail, cold stare really sucks. You kind of just you get hit once and you're already almost dead. So you just like that's what happened to me. I just got hit once and just like, oh god, I have like 3 hearts left. Quick,
Yeah.
pull a potion, drink it. I bought blue potions before headed there, so had a safety. So I knew in that fight all I had to do is basically just spam Fire Rod and it would have been the kill. So that's a nice thing to just plan ahead for these bosses. Just always have a potion.
Was it at least a nice run to watch?
It was entertaining.
Yeah, it was pretty
definitely
good.
entertaining.
How entertaining was it watching me go to Zora with 450 rupees?
Oh, you
Oh,
both had to make
oh.
that thing.
I did the same thing. I did the exact same thing. And like the way I routed is just, I just got the flipper, so there's probably more value there. But I don't have money for Zora.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
it's
both-
probably not going to be Zora, so I just get there and like there was the ball, and I get that ball, and maybe Moon Pearl is actually a ticket. I don't want to do that yet. I'm just going to go do Sashra's Hut into Eastern.
And
The
there's your
reason
money.
I went straight, exactly. The reason I went straight for the flippers check is because, what are the odds that that hut's going to give me enough money? And then there's like $300.
Yeah.
Hooray!
You both did exactly that. Desert, flippers, then went to the Sahasra Hut, and it's like, you couldn't have given me this before.
Exactly. I was so mad and so worried at the same time because I knew after I found that money I was so scared. I was like, Zora's definitely gonna have my progression.
Yeah, like I personally got down to the point like I got that money and I was just okay, next to Eastern. I'm still going to do Eastern, and then Eastern had nothing. So at that point, all I had left to do is, okay, turn that ball and it's a kid or go Zora. I'm just going to go Zora right away because it's going to be that, right? And even if I find Moon Pearl there, then I can route the kid before I go Dark World and go do Skullwoods. So, and turns out that was a play.
Well, I think I'm going to call it a night. So, thanks, JTB and Buckshot for commentating, and thanks for that. Thanks for that great race.
Especially since we basically scheduled this race 7 hours before notice. So, like, there was a really short notice to get a restream and some commentary. So thanks for everyone that was involved.
And thanks to our restreamer as well.
Yeah, shout outs to pretty much everyone, behind the scenes being able to take some time out of your day to do this. Yunker's wife was our tracker. So shout outs to her for, keeping us on board with the items being picked up that we missed. And then No Name for doing the restreaming as well.
And I know our restream is going to come down to whether or not we had commentary. So I hit up JTB and pulled him away from his nightly activities to come commentate. So thanks a lot, my friend.
He's right. I'll just be grinding out races otherwise. But glad to be able to commentate this race with you, Buckshot. Be sure to follow both our runners. I've got the links already in chat. Terrence getting that ahead of us, so thanks for that. We do have a race coming up on this channel in 40 minutes, actually, with Held versus Ovik Jam, plus another race between Zelnus and Azuriel Speed on Speed Gaming 4 at 11 p.m. So definitely plenty of rando still going on tonight, but it's just day one of week 3, so we're gonna have plenty of races happening throughout the week. See you guys.
I believe there's also one currently active that started about a half hour ago on Speed Gaming 6 between Crimson Avex versus D-Sit 7. So if you want something to watch immediately, there's that as well. But that's probably going to do it for us.
Yeah, so go ahead and
see you
wrap
guys
it
next
up.
time, guys.
Congrats on your win, Chirality, and hope you all have a good rest of your week.
Thank you, and thanks for watching.